we've got a piece of plasterboard here, so I'm going to demonstrate how to cut it. It is one of the easiest things you can actually cut, because you can cut it with a simple Stanley knife or a saw. But one thing to remember is if you use a saw, it's going to blunt it really quickly. And you may notice that I've got my cut resistant gloves on because we're using the Stanley knife. A lot of people are unsure which side of the plasterboard faces out, and it is quite simple. If you look at this piece, the light grey side is the side you have facing out, and it's really a dead giveaway if you've got writing on the back like you have on that piece there, because that obviously is the back of the plasterboard. So if you're cutting straight lines in plasterboard, it couldn't really be easier. All you need is a Stanley knife. But a friend of mine showed me a really good tip once when we were trying to get some 8 foot by 4 foot boards into a bedroom, and we just couldn't get them in because they were too big, and he showed me this really neat trick. So I'm just going to demonstrate it to you now. So we're just turning the sheet over. So imagine having a really big sheet and you can't get it in your room because it's too big. The only option you've got is to cut the sheet down to a manageable size. But you're making work for yourself then, because you'll have an additional joint. So a friend of mine at work, Pete Riley, he showed me this tip, and it's a really neat tip. We're going to use a straight edge here, but you don't normally need one for plasterboard. You can just score straight across in a straight line and it will break straight. So I'm just going to start at this end, and I'm going to score a line, and I'm applying even pressure. So you can see that I've scored it all the way across there. So now we're just going to snap the board. So now we've got the board in 2 pieces, but the paper is still intact. So you can fold it over on itself. So now we've cut the board in half, but we haven't actually cut through the paper on the good side. So what you can do now is you can move it, and it's in a small enough piece so you can get it in your room, and then once you get it in there, you can open it back up and you've got a full sheet again. So by doing that, you're saving an extra join down the middle of the plasterboard. So once you've got your sheet in there, you can just fasten this directly up to your studs and nobody will ever know that you've cut it in half. So to cut a piece of plasterboard normally just using a Stanley knife, it's really pretty easy. All we need is a straight edge and a Stanley knife, and just press on reasonably hard and just score a line across. And then when you've done that, just bend it where you've scored it. And then you can just cut through the paper on the good side. So that's how to cut plasterboard using a Stanley knife. It's very easy.